Lord Robertson, first of all, thank you for the time for this interview. So, Macedonia has a very big question, that referendum on 30th of September, that everybody talks about it. All the high representatives coming from Europe and abroad, they all talk about the significance of this referendum. So what does it mean, and what do you expect that will happen after that referendum?
This is a moment of destiny for this small country. Without a properly internationally recognized name, it faces continued obscurity. It is called FYROM in the international area, called Macedonia inside the country. So there is an identity crisis. So the agreement that has been reached between the Prime Minister and the Prime Minister of Greece protects the identity of Macedonia, the language of Macedonia, the traditions and the culture of Macedonia, but gives it an open door to NATO membership and to eventual EU membership and to being part of the European family. That's a big deal. That's a big offer for the people on the 30th of September, and I hope that they will grab it with both hands.
So practically what you're saying is that if the referendum doesn't succeed, Macedonia gets back decades.
This is, the issue here is now or never. Even the optimist would say another 10 years of obscurity, but some people would say obscurity is guaranteed forever until the name issue is actually resolved. So, this is about the future of the country, about the future of generations here. Are they going to be continually leaving the country, the best and the brightest, leaving the country and going to Europe? Or is Europe going to come to Macedonia? Because NATO membership and EU membership will bring, as it has done in the other countries who have joined, jobs, investment, prosperity, stability to the country. That's what is on offer here. It's not just a name, it's not just a bit of the constitution, it's the whole future for generations yet to come in this part of the world. There is no alternative. There isn't another alternative available for people who say, oh, we will boycott, which means you hand the decision to somebody else, or we will vote against in the hope that something better will come along. Well, it's not going to come along. So the future is going to be determined on the 30th of September, either a good future, a prosperous, stable future for the younger generations, or more obscurity under the name of FYROM.
You once stated that it was NATO's mistake that didn't invite Macedonia by now to come to a full membership into the alliance. Now everybody talks about the referendum being the key point of Macedonia entering the NATO alliance or the eventually EU. Is there a possibility, because there's always one if the referendum doesn't succeed because of small numbers, that the country stops on its path, because everybody says Macedonia is ready, but everything depends on the referendum. What if Macedonia is ready, but the referendum doesn't succeed?
Well, then the situation will remain exactly as it is just now. You go back to being FYROM. This is not a question about, if the referendum fails, you become Macedonia. You don't become Macedonia. In the international world, you become the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia. So that is obscurity. It means that you are blocked from joining NATO, blocked from joining the European Union, blocked from many other opportunities that are available, blocked from getting the foreign investment and the jobs that would otherwise come. So that is the alternative. But on the upside, if the referendum goes the right way and people vote for the constitutional change, then The doors are open to NATO membership. The doors will be open to eventual EU membership. You know, jobs and prosperity and investment will come. And I tell you this one other thing. Across the world, every map that exists at the present moment will have to be changed. And the word firearm will be excised. It will go.
How do you mean go?
The maps will have to change. Firearm will no longer exist. This will be the Republic of North Macedonia. So firearm will disappear completely. I'm thinking of a younger generation. I'm not young anymore, but I've got small grandchildren, and I think when I do things now in politics, I think of them, not me. And people in this country need to do the same thing. Look at these small grandchildren. Where will their jobs be? Where will their education be? Will it be in Germany? Will it be in Australia? Will it be in Canada or America? Or will it be here in their own country? But the only way that you will get those jobs here, the only way that their prosperity will be guaranteed in their own country, is if this issue of the name is resolved and properly put to bed.
As a former General Secretary of NATO, you know under the surface, you know a lot of things about the politics. What's NATO's stance on Macedonia? I mean, how much Macedonia is one of the key countries for stability, especially in the Balkans?
It's very important for the stability of the Balkans that Macedonia plays its full part in NATO and in the European Union. This is a modern European state. You know, this is a state that qualifies for NATO membership, you know, even as it stands at the present moment. So being outside of it, you know, not only destabilizes the Balkans, but it is a bad deal for the people inside the country as well. So, you know, I'm not the Secretary General of NATO anymore. I was here during the crisis of 2001, and that was a big thing. You know, this small country resolved its problems internally without bloodshed, without a crisis, without the normal catastrophe that the Balkans have produced in the past. It was a moment of real national pride to be able to deal with a problem without the violence that we were used to. So I remember that vividly, and that's why I know that this country has got a great future in the rest of Europe. And so, you know, I'm in business. I play a small role in politics, but I'm involved in business, so I know how foreign business operates, how they make decisions, how they locate their factories and the jobs that go with the factories. And I know that constitutional upheaval, the problems associated with a country not being part of the overall structures affects investment as well. So I've seen it as a politician, and I've seen it as a businessman. And that's why I'm absolutely convinced that the agreement that has been reached is a good one, and it opens the door for this country and for future generations of Macedonians to thrive in the world.
Analyzing the agreement between Macedonia and Greece, what would you say that both countries get from it, resolving the whole name issue?
Well, clearly Macedonia gets a huge amount. It goes from obscurity to mainstream. It goes from being in the darkness about Europe into the light of mainstream Europe. And Greece gets a stable neighbour, a neighbour that is in NATO like it is, a neighbour that will eventually be in the European Union like it is. You know, it will resolve the tensions that exist in this part of the world, and it normalizes relations in the Balkans. So both countries have a lot to gain from this agreement. To those people who say, not now, there is an alternative, bad agreement, I say, what's your alternative? What's your alternative? And the reality is, it's now or never for Macedonia.
How would you assess Russia's involvement in Macedonia after the agreement between Greece and Skopje? Because we had various news articles with certain facts that Russian representatives tried to somehow destabilize, destruct the agreement in a certain way to not succeed. I mean, we had a similar experience with Montenegro before becoming a member state. So how do you assess the Russia's involvement in Macedonia?
Well, there are outside influences that don't want Macedonia to become part of NATO or the European Union. You know, for whatever their reasons are, they are not on the side of the people of Macedonia. That is clear, and people need to ignore these outside voices. You know, the friends of Macedonia are coming here, have been coming here over the last few weeks. People like me who know the country, who care about the country, who have been involved in the country before, and we are saying, look, this is a good deal. But there will be people who don't want Macedonia to be part of modern Europe, who don't want Macedonia to be part of NATO, but they need to be ignored. They should be shunned.
All the high representatives that came in Macedonia in these last 2, 3, 4 weeks, they all clearly have the same message, that the people of Macedonia should get out and vote on the referendum. And most of them say, or probably all of them say, Macedonia is an example of toleration, political dialogue, and will to solve a problem. On the other hand, while we're talking about the stability of the Balkans, we have another question between Serbia and Kosovo. Kosovo has an idea, the high representatives of Kosovo have an idea of marking borders with Serbia. Can that be somehow a problem for the whole region? Because it's very close. We have Macedonia here as a perfect example of what it means political dialogue, according to the politicians. And we have just some miles from Macedonia, another question. What's that a risk for the whole Balkans?
Well, there are always risks in Europe, never mind in the Balkans. I don't think it's a good idea to unpick borders at the moment. I don't think that when we have a period of stability that we should be trying to swap borders around in a volatile part of the world. And I watch with some interest and some concern about some of these discussions taking place.
Lord Robertson, what's your message to the Macedonian people?
My message is look to the future. Make sure that your citizens don't go to Europe. Europe comes to this country as a whole. So it's a moment of real and genuine destiny and history. Last week, the Prime Minister of this country spoke in Macedonian language in the European Parliament. Now the Europeans need to hear the voice of the Macedonian people. So in 2001, people resolved a problem in this country in a unique way, got the admiration of the outside world. They should take a decision on the 30th of September and let the world watch them step into the future as well.
Robertson, thank you very much for this interview and for the time.
Not at all. Thank you.